Hello everyone, welcome to this course. My name is Dev and I'm a software engineer by profession. In this course, I will teach you how to build a professional looking website using HTML5, CSS3, Bootstrap and Jquery. In this course, you will also learn how to use many JavaScript libraries to give your website a professional touch. Through this course, you will gain the understanding of how to combine HTML, CSS, jQuery and Bootstrap to build professional looking website that will be a great addition in your portfolio if you want to become a front-end developer. With that being said, now let's take a look at what we are going to make in this series. So this is a personal portfolio website that we are going to make. Here I have used Bootstrap, which is a very popular CSS framework to build responsive sites. So when the site loads, we have this preloader and this smooth transition effect. You will learn how to make this preloader and a nice opening transition. You will also learn how to make sticky navigation so that when you scroll down, the navbar stick at the top and remain visible even if you scroll to the bottom of the page. Then this hero section, which consists of a large cover image, and I have used a JavaScript library to create this typing effect. You will learn how to integrate this type of effect in your site. Then there's a call to action button, and when you hover over it, the background changes. After this comes the about section, then the skills section with Bootstrap progress bars. These bars animates as soon as you scroll down to the about section. This section uses one more JavaScript library to attain this type of effect. Then comes the service section, which consists of customized Bootstrap cards to show all the services. Then we have the testimony section, which uses owl carousel to show the testimony. You will learn how to integrate and customize owl carousel to make this. Then we have the work section, in which there is an image gallery with filter option. So when you click any button, you see live filtering without any page reload. Here also I've used a JavaScript library to make it. Then we have the contact section with form elements, and finally we have the footer of the site. So this website is fully responsive and it works well in phones and tablet. So this is the overview of the website, and in this course we will make this step by step. So I hope to see you in this course. Hi everyone. In this video we are going to set up the folder structure and create different files which will be necessary for our project. So let's begin. Create a new folder anywhere you like. I'm going to create a folder in the desktop and name this folder Rudra. This will be the name of our website template. So after creating the folder, open it up in the text editor of your choice. In this series, I'll be using Atom, which is my favorite editor. You may choose any editor like Brackets or VS Code, etc. There are many to choose from. Now just drag and drop this folder on the Atom icon here. This will open up Atom and also open that folder as well. Now here we are going to make different files and folders for our website. So first create a file called index.html. So right click and choose new file, index.html. This file will contain all the HTML markup for our project. Now create a folder called CSS. And inside this create a file called style.css. This will be our main CSS file where we will write the style for our website. Again create a folder called JS. Inside this create a file and name it app.js. You can name it whatever you like, but be sure to save it as .js file. This file will contain all the JavaScript or jQuery code which will be required for our website. Now again create a folder called lib in the root directory. This will contain all the library files that we will use for this project, like Bootstrap file, Animate CSS file, owl carousel file, etc. Now next create a folder called images. This will contain all our images for the project. So this is the basic folder structure and files that we require for our website. In the next video, we will take a look at some of the important plugins that will help us in our development. In this video, let's take a look at some of the plugins that can help us in our development process. The first plugin is called Emmet. Emmet is available for many text editor, so if you're using another editor, you can get it easily. So Emmet is used for high-speed coding and editing in HTML. So let's first install it and I will show you how to use it. Click on Atom and click on Preference. Now click on Install and here search for Emmet. I have Emmet already installed in my version of Atom. That is why I don't see this install button. But when you search for it, you will see this install button. So just click on it and Emmet will be installed. Now let's see how Emmet can help us in our development process. Open up index.html file and let's work in it. So every HTML file requires some basic tags like HTML, head, title, meta tags, body and corresponding closing tags. So typically when you write HTML markup, you do something like this. Write HTML, write the corresponding closing tag. Inside this you write the head tag, then you write corresponding closing head tag, then you start writing the body tag, then the end tag. So this is what we are generally used to, but after Emmet it's all changed. So let me show you how Emmet can help us in this situation. Just write a exclamation sign and press tab. See, here you get the boilerplate HTML code that every web page requires, already written for you. The doc type, the meta tags, title, body, all the necessary tag. See, I told you faster coding using Emmet. Now let's see some other example where Emmet can be useful. So most of the time you need to create a div with a class or ID. Here also Emmet can help us speed up the process. So just write dot followed by either the class name or the ID name. So let me write class box and press tab. This will create the div with a class added to it. Likewise, I can create a div with an ID attached to it. For this, write pound sign and then the ID name and hit tab. You can apply class or ID to not only a div but to any other tag you want. Say I want to apply a class in h1 tag. So I can write h1 dot heading. So this will be a class applied to h1 tag. Or I can write h1 pound display. So this will create an ID. Note one thing, you don't have to write the div before the dot when you are adding class or ID to it. By default, if you just write dot and class name, Emmet will create a div for you. But to apply a class or ID to other tag, you have to write its name. I can even add multiple classes and ID to a single tag. Say I want to apply a class color and ID wrapper to a div. So I can write dot color pound sign wrapper and press tab. So this will add both the ID and the class to the div. Likewise, you can chain this however you like. So by this time you may think I can easily create one div with a class or ID in no time. How then Emmet is helping me? So wait for it, I'll show you how. Let's say you want to create 10 divs with class box applied to it. Now what you will do? Either you create each div individually or use copy paste to achieve the result. But here Emmet can help us big time. So to create 10 divs with the class box applied to it, I can just write dot box into 10 and press tab. So this will create 10 divs with class box applied to it. Now you see how Emmet helps us write code faster. Now let's take a look at one of my favorite feature. So when you are working on a web project, most of the time you want dummy text as a filler. So this dummy text can be generated using Emmet easily. Let's say I want to create a paragraph with some dummy text. For this I can simply write P, then a greater than sign, lorem 10. So here a paragraph with 10 words of lorem ipsum will be created for us. So in this case you can also use the multiplication operator to create 5 para with dummy text. So you can write P into 5, then lorem 10. So this will create 5 paragraphs with 10 words in it, random 10 words in it. Now one last thing that I'm going to show you is the child and sibling operator in Emmet. Say I'm creating a navigation list which consists of a UL with LIs, and inside the LI I have a tag, a typical navigation structure. So to make this structure easily, we can use the child operator, which is denoted by the greater than sign. So I can write UL, inside this I will have LI, this greater than sign is the child operator. I want 5 LIs, so into 5, and inside this I want a tag. Then press tab, this will create a UL, inside this 5 LI, and inside the LI we have the a tag. So the last operator that we are going to see is the sibling operator, which is denoted by plus sign. Say I want to create a div followed by a paragraph, followed by a span, followed by a heading level 1. I can easily create this using the sibling operator. So I can write div plus para plus span plus h1. Press tab. See, all these tags are created one after another. Here also you can use the multiplication operator if you wish. Say I want a div, then 5 paragraph, and then a heading level 1 element. So I can write div plus p into 5, then h1. So this will create all the tags. So this is all about Emmet. Here I have just scratched the surface. There are tons of different things that you can do. So if you want to learn more about Emmet, you can go to docs.emmet.io. Now let's see the next plugin that we are going to use. It's called Atom Live Server. This plugin allows us to see live preview of our website during the development time. So let's first install it. Click on Atom, go to Preference, Install, and search for Atom Live Server. So this is the plugin, just install it. So after installation, this plugin is located in the package menu here. Just click on Atom Live Server and Start Server. This is the live preview of our web page. The cool thing about this plugin is its updating feature. So when you make any change in your web page and save, that change is automatically reflected in the browser without even reloading the page. So let's change something. Let's add hello world and save this. And you can see that our change is reflected immediately. So let's wrap up this video, and in the next video I will show you how to set up Bootstrap and its dependency in our project. In this video I will show you how to add Bootstrap and its dependency in our project, and we will learn how to link custom CSS and JS file we have created before into our project. So let's start. Open up index.html file and at the top write an exclamation mark and press tab. This will insert the required HTML boilerplate code into our file. So let's first examine this template a little bit. The first line here is the document type declaration. In short, doc type. It is an instruction to the browser that we are using HTML5 markup in our page. Next is the HTML tag itself. So every web page is enclosed within the HTML tag. This marks the scope of your web page. So whatever you write inside this will be treated as HTML markup by the browser. So inside this HTML tag, we have an attribute called lang and its value is en. This tells the browser that whatever content we write inside different HTML elements like paragraph, div, heading is in English. So if you are creating a page in another language, say Spanish, you give it a value es. And if you are creating a page in French, you specify a value FR. Next we have the head tag. So this tag is used to add metadata in a web page. So metadata means data about data. So here in this case, data about HTML document itself. So the content written inside the head tag is not displayed in the web browser when the page is loaded. So a head tag contains information like page title, link to a custom CSS or JS file, link to favicon, metadata about author, description which is used by search engine, keywords, etc. So one important meta tag added in HTML5 is the viewport. This meta tag instructs the browser to render a page appropriately in a mobile or a tablet. This HTTP equi tag is to add support for older Internet Explorer, that is IE9 or IE8. You can either have it or you can drop it if you don't want to support older Internet Explorer browser. So one important information that is stored inside the head is the title of a web page. The text written between these title tag is shown at the top of the browser or in the tab of the browser. This information is also shown in the search result when you do a Google search, so it's very important to choose it wisely to rank your website. After the head comes the body tag. Inside the body tag we write all our content using HTML tags. So this is all about HTML template. Now let's add Bootstrap into a project. So open up Chrome and search for Bootstrap. And click on this first link here, getbootstrap.com, and click on download, and then compile CSS and JS file, click on this download link. So this will get downloaded. Once it has finished downloading, just extract this and now we want to place this CSS and JS folder into a project. So I'm going to just drag it into a project. Just move it a little bit and drag this inside the lib folder. Now we need to download Bootstrap dependency. So Bootstrap is dependent on Jquery and popper.js. So we are going to download that. In the Chrome, search for Jquery and click on this link, download Jquery, and download the compressed production Jquery 3.4.0. Now save this file, press Command S and save this file in the lib folder of our project. Next we are going to download the popper.js file. Write popper and click on this link, popper.js org. Click on install and now click on this unpackage.com popper.js. Again save this inside a lib folder as popper.min.js. So we have added all the dependency. Now it's time to link it up. So first I am going to include Bootstrap CSS file, this bootstrap.min.css. So write link href, just right click and click on rename and copy this path. It's an easy way, so I like this way of doing it, and just paste it. Now we need to include the Bootstrap.js file. So it's always good practice to write all your script file just before the closing body tag. So write script. So write script colon src, and here I'm going to specify the location of the JS file. So this file bootstrap.min.js, right click, rename, copy this path and paste it. Now Bootstrap requires Jquery and Popper, So you need to include jQuery and popper before this. So here I'll write script. I will include jQuery, right click, just copy it, and after this I'll include popper. Now to test it, let's write a simple h1 and give it a class display1. This is a Bootstrap class. Hello world. Save it. So this is using the display1 Bootstrap class, so it's working fine. So we have successfully added Bootstrap and its dependency in our template. Now let's also add a custom CSS and JS file. So our CSS file is sitting inside the CSS folder. Right at the top I'll write link CSS style.css. Similarly, I'm going to include the script file src. It's sitting inside the JS folder app.js. So this is what a base template looks like. Here I have added all the required file. So in the next video, we will start working on the navigation of our page. In this video, we will make the navigation bar for our website. So let's start. First, I am going to add some base styling to our project. These styling include adding the fonts, choosing the main and accent color, setting font size, font family, etc. For this project, I'll be using Montserrat and Nunito font, which are Google fonts and can be easily added to your project. So open up Chrome and search for Google fonts. So click on this first link, and then in this search box, search for Montserrat. Now to use this font, just click on this add icon here. Likewise, I'm going to search for Nunito and click on this add icon here. Here I'm also going to customize the font a little bit. So expand this and click on this customize link. So for Montserrat, I'm going to choose font weight 400, 600 and 700. And for Nunito, I'm going to choose 400 and 700. Now click on here, embed, and just copy this link and paste this in our index.html file. That's it. We have included the fonts. Now to use it, you need to just specify the font family. So open up style.css file and begin a comment. So CSS comment looks like this, and inside this write base rules. It's always a good practice to properly organize your code, and using a comment we can add meaningful text that will help us to stay organized. Now I'm going to add a reset using the universal selector, which is star. And inside this rule, I'll set the margin to 0 and padding to 0. The browser user agent style sheet by default add a margin to the page, which we don't want. Therefore, I am resetting it. Next, I'm going to set the font family of heading element. So after this, all the heading element, I'm going to reset the font family H2, H3. Font family Montserrat, and I will also add a fallback sans serif. Then I'll add style to the paragraph, all the paragraphs in our project. Font family will be Nunito, sans serif. Font size will be 20 pixel. Line height will be 30 pixel. You should keep the line height 120 to 150% of the font size. So here I am using 150% of the font size, which is 30 pixel. The color of this paragraph, all the paragraph will be grayish color 6C757D. So this is our base rule. Now it's time to add the navigation. So go to index.html file and inside the body add a nav tag. And here I'm going to give it a class of navbar and a class of navbar expand lg. These are Bootstrap classes. The navbar expand lg class will expand the navigation when seen on large devices or up, and in the rest of the devices like medium, small, extra small, a hamburger icon will be displayed. Inside this I'll create a container. This is also a Bootstrap class. Then I will add the brand or the logo using the a tag. So write a. It also needs a class navbar brand. href, here I'll give pound because it's not going anywhere, and here I'll write Rudra. You can also insert your brand image if you wish in this anchor tag. Then I'll create the code for hamburger icon. So after this, create a button with a class navbar toggler. The type will be button. This button also requires two additional attributes, the data toggle and data target. So write data toggle, the value will be collapse, and the data target. Here you can specify any value, but you should write a pound sign in front of it. So I'm going to write navbar ID. Inside this button, I'm going to create a span tag. This will contain the hamburger icon. So for this video, I'm going to use the font awesome hamburger icon. So before using it, I have to include the CDN of font awesome. So go to Chrome and search for font awesome. Click on this link. And now click on start using free. And just copy this CDN. Go back to your index.html file and paste it in the head section. Now to use the hamburger icon, I have to use I tag, I with the class FAS fa.bars. So this will add the hamburger icon. After this, create a div with a class collapse and navbar collapse with an ID navbar ID. So write so this ID must be the same as the ID you write in the data target attribute of button. So when the button is clicked, this div gets opened or closed. Now inside the div, I'll create a UL element with class navbar nav. And inside this, I will have the links. So create a li with a class nav item. And inside this, I'll have the a tag with a class navlink. These are all Bootstrap classes. So this is our links. I'm going to copy this 5 times and change the content. This will be home. About. Services. Client, portfolio, one more link, contact. Now save this and let's see our navigation bar. Go to package, Atom Live Server, start server. So this is our navigation. As you can see that our links are pushed to the left, but I want these links to appear here. So I'm going to just simply add a simple class to the UL ML auto. This will push the link to the right. Let's style this navigation bar. First I'm going to add my own custom class called r-nav and add it to a nav element. Then I'll add some style to it. So go to style.css file and create a new comment, navigation. Here I'm going to target nav.r-nav. I'm going to make the background transparent. Padding will be top and bottom 20 pixel and right and left 0, and transition will be 0.5 second all. You will see the role of this transition later, so don't worry for now. Next I'm going to style the brand, the Navbar brand. So target this nav.navbar brand. The font size will be 30 pixel, color will be white, and transition will be 0.5 second all. For now let me remove this, I'll add this later to show you how exactly that works. Then I'm going to style the links. So target that navbar nav li, and then a. Since all the a tags are contained inside navbar nav, this ul class, therefore I'm targeting this nav inside that navbar nav li a. I'll write color RGBA 255 255 255 0.8, and I have to override this using the important keyword because Bootstrap already has applied some color to the a tag, so I am giving my own color. That's why I am overriding this using the important keyword. After this I'll specify the font size 16 pixel, the letter spacing 0.05 ems, font weight will be 600, and font family will be Nunito. Now let's see what a navigation looks like. See, now you cannot see the navigation links because it's in white color and the background is also white. So let's change the body background for the moment to some other color. Let's say black, and now check, our links are visible. I'm going to remove the body background later, but just for now let's keep it to work with the navigation. Now I'm going to add some margin to the li element. So write nav.navbar li, margin left 15 pixel. So we have added margin lefts to our li elements. Now let's add that sticky header. So to add a sticky header, it's just a matter of adding and removing a class using Jquery when the user scroll the page. So let's write the Jquery for this first. Open up app.js and begin the document ready function. Inside this I'll write on scroll event. So I'm keeping a watch on the scroll event. Here I'm going to write the logic. So I'll declare a variable scroll $window scroll top. So this variable scroll will store how many pixels from the top the user has scrolled the page. I can get this value using the window.scrollTop function. So let's write a simple console to see this in action. Console.log scroll. So now open up console, inspect console, and try to scroll. Since we do not have any element or space, we cannot scroll. So let's add some element to the web page just to test our scrolling. Go to index, after the nav, create a section. Let's style this. Just duplicate this one more time and save it. Go back to Chrome, and now I can scroll, and you can see that when we scroll, the value changes here in the console. So for the logic, I want a class to be applied to a navigation bar when the user scroll up to 50 pixels from the top. So back to our code. I am going to remove this. I'll write if scroll is greater than or equal to 50. I'm going to do something else. I'm going to remove the class. Here I'm going to add the class, and here I'm going to remove the class. So let me add one more class to a navigation bar called sticky. So using this class, I'm going to reference this navigation in a Jquery. So here write $sticky.add class and I'm going to just copy this one time and change this remove class. Now we don't have any class sticky add in a CSS file, so let's create that. So after all this, I'm going to add the sticky add class. So this class will be applied to a nav element. So I'll write nav.r.nav.stickyAdd. As you can see that there is no spaces in between these classes. Since we are adding class to the element itself, we have to write like this. Now here I'll set the background to white, and I have to override this using the important keyword. Padding will be 15 pixel top and bottom, and 0 from left and right. Box shadow will be 0, 1 pixel, 8 pixel, 3 pixel, RGBA this value, and transition will be 0.5 second, all ease in out. Now save this and go back to Chrome, and when you scroll, why it's not getting added? Let me check. Oh, I missed out dot here because I'm targeting a class. I have to write a dot here. So let's check once again. Go back to Chrome, and now if I scroll, so you can see that a white sticky background is being added. So here I have to change one more thing so that it sticks to the top. So go to Atom, and in the index.html file, I'm just going to add a class, Bootstrap class, fixed top. So this will fix the position of the navigation bar at the top, even if the user scrolls the page. So let's check. See, now it's working fine. Since all the links are in white color, that's why we cannot see them. So I'm going to change the color of the link when the sticky add class is added to the navigation bar, and again going to change the color of the link when the sticky add class is removed from the navigation bar. So let's do that. Open up style CSS. I'm going to write nav.stickyAdd. What I'm targeting, Navbar brand. Here I'll change the color to black, font size 40 pixel, and transition 0.5 second, all. Save this, go back to Chrome, and see, when the class is added, the font size increase and the color changes also. Now I'll change the color of the link, nav.stickyAdd.navbar nav link. Color will be black. Important. Save this. See, now when the class is added, the color of the nav links became black, and when the class is removed, the color became white. Now one more thing we have to do. So if I check this or inspect this and see this page in the mobile browser, you can see that the hamburger icon is not visible, although it is there. So we have to write styling for this as well. So go to Atom. After this I'll write navbar dot hamburger. Let's give this class to a hamburger icon. The color will be white when there is no sticky class add to it, and when we add a sticky class, the color will be black. Save this. Let's check. See, it's white now. If I scroll, it became black. So it's working fine. So this is all about our navigation. In this video, we are going to make the header section of our project. So this section will contain the hero image and other information about the owner of the site. So let's start. First, I'm going to remove these section which I added to create that space so that we can scroll and test our navigation bar. Now here I'll create a header element and I'm going to give it a ID home. So this ID I'll use when I'll add the smooth scrolling to our page. Inside this, create a div with a class container. So dot container fluid. So this is a Bootstrap class which will make the container full width. Next we'll add a div with a class row. And inside this, create another div with a class call. Here I'm going to add the text center class, which is also a Bootstrap class, to align all the text in the center. So here I'm using the Bootstrap grid system, which consists of a container, and inside it we have row, and then inside it we have columns. You can create 12 columns inside a row. For a header section, I will only need one column. Now inside this column, I'll create one more div with a class content box. This will act as a wrapper, and this will create a responsive box around a content using the max width property. Then I'll write welcome in a h4 tag. After this, I'll have a h1 element in which I'll use a JS library which will type the text. For now, just write John Doe. I am John Doe. I'm going to add the typing effect in a short while. After this, create a paragraph with lorem ipsum, let's say 15 words, and then I'm going to create the call to action button, which will be a link, which I'm going to style it as a button. I'm going to give it a Bootstrap class btn, so this will be a link, and here I'll write download CV. So this is the markup of the header section. Now in the next video, I'm going to style it. In the previous video, we have added the markup for a header section. In this video, I will write the CSS for a header section. So go to style.css, and at the bottom, create a comment, header section. First, I'm going to target the header itself, header tag itself. I'll have a height of 100 VH, width of 100%, background image. I have already placed all the image in the images folder, and I'm going to use the background.jpg as a hero image. So I have to specify the URL, and since it is inside this image folder, I'll write 2 dot and / images and then background.jpg. This should be inside a quote. Next, I'll write the property no repeat, because I don't want to repeat the hero image. Then background size, cover, and background position, center. So let's see what it looks like right now. Go to Atom Live Server and start server. So we have a hero image and the content that goes with it. Now this is too bright. I'm going to add a linear gradient to create an overlay. So for this, right here, place a comma, and before that, write linear gradient. Here RGBA 0.5, again comma RGBA 000, 0.5. Now save and take a look at it. Now we have this black overlay on our image. So after adding the hero image, let's style the content. For this, I'll use flexbox in the outer container to align all the text vertically and horizontally in the center. So create a new class, header content, and add it to our container, header content. Now let's style this. Since it is class dot header content, the height will be 100 VH. I'll display it as a flex box. Flex direction will be column. Align item center and justify content center. This will vertically and horizontally align the item. So let's see. See, all our text is horizontally as well as vertically aligned. Now I'm going to style individual element. But first I am going to style this content box which I have added to our content as a responsive container. So I'll write dot content box. I'll specify the max width property 700 pixel. So our content box, the wrapper will decrease if you decrease the size of the device, and it will increase up to 700 pixel when it is seen on larger device. So I'll give it a color white, and now I'll target the H4 tag. I'll specify the font size 30 pixel. Then I'll target the H1 tag, font size 52 pixel. Then we have this link which I need to style as a button. So first I'm going to target it, content box A, the color will be white. Text decoration will be none. Border will be 2 pixel solid white, and border radius will be 20 pixel, and I'm going to give it a padding 5 pixel top and bottom and 25 pixel left and right. So let's see how it looks like. So this is a button, CTA, call to action button. Now I'm going to add a hover state. So content box A, hover, color will become black, background will become white, and transition 0.5 second all. So this will change in 0.5 second. So when I hover, the background became white and the color of the text became black. So finally I'm going to override the color of this paragraph. So I'll write content box P and write color white. So now let's add that typing effect. For that I'm going to use a JavaScript library called typed.js. So open up Chrome and search for typed.js. Click on this link madpol.com and click on download zip. So once it is downloaded, extract it, and under the lib folder just copy, or I'm going to move this to a lib folder in a project. Now I'm going to link it up in our index.html file. So write script, under the lib folder we have typed.js. So now to get that typing effect, we need to use a span with a class. So I want this typing effect to be applied on the H1 tag. So I'll create a span with the class element. And then in the app.js file, I need to initialize it. So if you look at the documentation, if you on GitHub, You can read all the documentation here, how to initialize it, how to use different options. So these are the different options it provides us, like type speed, start delay, back speed, etc. So back to our code, I'm going to initialize it in the app.js file. So after the scrolling function, navigation scrolling function, I'm going to declare a variable typed equal new typed, and here I'll have to write that class name which I have given to this span element. So I'll write element and then some parameters. So I have to specify strings that I want to be typed. So I'll write John Doe, a developer, a designer, a businessman. Then smart backspace will be true. I'll show you in a minute what it does. Type speed will be 100 millisecond. Back speed will be 100. Loop will be true. I want this to go on forever, and also I have to specify loop count infinity, and then I'll specify some delay. This will look good when we add the animation library to our page. So start delay 1 second, so 1000 millisecond. Now this is it. Now let's check how a page looks like. Open up Chrome. See, we have the typing effect. These are the default value. Why it's not showing up? Let me check. Oh, I have to write strings. Go back. See, now our typing effect is working fine. And it starts with a delay. If I refresh, see, 1 second delay we have. So this is all about the header section. In the next section, we'll start working on the about section. In this video, we will work on the about section of our page. So let's start. First, I'm going to write the HTML for the about section. So go after the header tag and create a new section with the class about and an ID about. Inside this, I will create a Bootstrap container which will contain the row. So create a div with the class container, and inside it create a div with the class row. In this row, I want two equal width column, one to display the person image and other for the content. So let's create two div with class call LG6. I'm going to duplicate this. So press Command Shift and D. It will duplicate it. So on large screen and up, it will take up half the screen, and on small devices, it will span across the entire width. Now inside the first div, I will place the image. So create an image tag, img, and in the source attribute, specify the path of the image. I have saved it as profile.jpg. Now I'm going to add a Bootstrap class to make this image responsive. It's very easy in Bootstrap to make the image responsive. Just add a class image fluid. And now our image will scale as per the device size. I'm going to add one more class, image thumbnail, which will style our image to look like a thumbnail. It will add a border and some padding. Next is the alt attribute, in which I'll write profile picture. So this is about the image. Now let's add the content. Here inside this div, I'll create a h2 element with content about me. Then I will have a h4 tag with content hola I am John Doe, and I'm going to style this using a span tag. This is an inline style. Color will be hash E9 6F85. Then I will create some paragraph with dummy text inside it. So first paragraph will have 10 words. Second para, let's say 14 words. Third para, let's say 15 words. And fourth para, let's say 30 words. So let's see this in our browser. So go to package, Atom Live Server, start server. So this is our design so far. I've added that black color, background color on the body to check our navigation. So I'm going to remove that. So go to style.css and remove this background color. Save it. Let's see. Finally, I'm going to add the social icon at the end. So I'm going to create a div. Inside this, I'll create a UL with a class list inline. This is a Bootstrap class. Inside the UL, I'll have 4 li elements with a class list inline item. And here I'll have a tag. It will go to nowhere. And inside this, I'll have the font awesome icon. So to find the icon, open a font awesome website. And here I'm going to search for Facebook. So this is the icon that I want. So click on it and just copy this. Just click on it, it will get copied. Go to Atom and just place it in between the A tag. Now I'm just going to duplicate this 3 more times and I'm going to change the class. I'll add a Twitter icon. I'll add a Behance icon and I'll add a YouTube icon. So if I check, see, icons are now showing up. Finally, I'm going to add the style to about section. So go to style.css and at the very bottom begin a comment about us. Here I'm just going to apply style to the social icons. So first target it about LIA. The color will be black. Display inline block. Height will be 42 pixel. Width will be 42 pixel as well. Font size will be 20 pixel. Border will be 2 pixel solid hash, and border radius will be 50% to make that a circle. Line height will be 40 pixel to center the icon inside the circle. Transition will be, let's say, 0.5 second all, and text align center. Now I also want to add a hover state to our link. So dot about LIA hover. I'm just going to change the color to EE8683. Now let's see. Oh, did I save it? Just save it. See, our color is changing. So let's inspect our page in a different devices. Just right click anywhere and click on inspect. Click on this icon, mobile icon, and as you can see that in lower devices there is no margin between the content and the image. So let's add some class to our content div so as to have that margin. back to our index.html file. Now here in the content div, I'm going to add a margin top 5, but on large device the margin will be 0. So I'll have to write empty, then the device size and 0. So on large device the margin will be 0, and on smaller device the margin will be 5. So let's see. See, we have added that margin. So if I see this page on iPad, we have that 5 margin of Bootstrap. And finally, I'm going to add padding to a section, the entire about us section. So I'm going to create a class in the style of CSS file. In the base rule, I'm going to create it r-p, and I'll have a padding top 80 pixel and padding bottom 80 pixel. Now I am going to apply this class to about section. So here, just paste it, and now let's see. See, we have this padding of 80 pixel top and 80 pixel bottom. If I inspect this, see, we have this 80 pixel padding on the top and 80 pixel padding on the bottom. So this is all about the about section, and in the next video I will make the experience section, which will have that progress bars. In this video we will make the experience section for a page. This section will have the Bootstrap progress bars, which will show the skill level of the person. So let's start. So right under the about section, create a new section tag with class exp class and an ID exp ID. Inside this, I'm going to create a div with a class container, and then inside this I'm going to create a div with a class row. This row will have 2 columns, so create a div with a class call md6. This is a Bootstrap class, and now just duplicate this one more time. So on medium devices and up, the row will have 2 columns, and on devices lower than MD, the column will stretch out to fit the entire screen. So in the first column, I'll create a h3 tag and write my skills. Now in the other div, I'm going to create the progress bars. Create a label tag, label. Inside this write HTML. Then add a div with a class progress. This is a Bootstrap class. Inside it, create another div with class progress-bar. This is also a Bootstrap class. Now we have to add some attributes to this div. So the first attribute is role, which will be progress bar. The next attribute is style attribute with 0%. So we are going to change this style attribute using JavaScript, and we are going to use a JavaScript library called waypoint. So this width will specify the line of the progress bar. The next attribute is area value now. The value will be 0, and then area value min, value will be 0, area value max, value will be 100. So close this div, and now here I'm going to write 95%. So I want the person to know 95% of HTML, so that's why I've written 95%. So these attributes are used by the screen reader for visually impaired to increase accessibility of the web page. So when this page is read by a screen reader, the value in area value now will be read or will be dictated, and the area value min and the area value max specify the minimum and the maximum length of the progress bar. So let's save this and take a look at our page. So here we have the progress bar. Now first let's add all the progress bar. So I'm going to copy it and paste it a few times. Now let's see. So these are the progress bar that we have added. So here I want to align this H3 tag to the vertical and the horizontal center inside this column. So there are many ways of doing it, but I'm going to use the flexbox method, and Bootstrap has its own classes to work with the flexbox. So inside the H3, I will first make it a flex container by adding a class called deflex. Then I will add a class justify. Then I will add a class called justify content center. This will align the H3 horizontally or the main axis. And then I'm going to add align items center. This will center the item along the vertical axis or the cross axis. Now save it and let's see. So this is how it looks like. So our markup is done for the experience section. Let's add some style. So go to style.css, and after the about section, create a new comment. Here first I'm going to target the progress class. So write exp class. So I'm targeting this section exp class, and then inside this we have the progress class. So I'm going to give it a height of 10 pixel, border radius of 20 pixel. We get that roundness, and then the font size will be 10 pixel. Next I'm going to change the background color of our progress bar. So I'm going to target the progress bar. So this is the class which I'm targeting, progress bar. I'll change the background color to hash EE8683. I'm going to write important because I'm going to override the default color which Bootstrap provides. So I have to write this important here. Now if I save and see this, you won't see any color because our width is 0. So if I change the width to, let's say, 20 and save, so this is the color that I'm going for. Next is I'm going to change the label, style the label. So write exp class label. The font size will be 20 pixel and margin 10 pixel. So let's save and see. So we have added that margin and changed the font size of a label. So this is the experience section, and in the next video I will use JavaScript and waypoints to animate the progress bars. In this video we are going to animate our progress bars. So let's start. Open up app.js file, and after our typed code, begin a comment called progress bars. So all our progress bars have a class called progress-bar. See all our progress bars, this progress-bar. So I'm going to target this using JavaScript. So I'll declare a variable called var, let's say p document dot query selector method, query selector all, and then I'm going to target the class progress bar. Now the query selector method returns an array, so I can access each of the progress bar. Now the only thing that I have to do is to change the width of the bars. So we have a style attribute in the progress bars, so I'm going to select it and increase it to change the width. So as I told you that query selector all returns an array containing all the elements with the specified class. So here I'll use the array indexes and select the progress bar. So I'll write p0 dot set attribute. Then I'm going to change the style, width. For the first, let's say 100%, and I'm going to give it a transition, let's say 1 second all. Next I'm going to just copy and paste this for all our progress bars. So this will be P1, P2, 3, 4, 5. So let's change the width this time to 95%, transition 1.5 second. And this width to 85%. Let's say transition 1.7 second. This width to 99%, transition 2 second. This width to 85%, transition let's say 2.3 second. This width to 95% and transition 2.5 second. Now save it and let's see. So I'm going to refresh this, and if I scroll down, you'll see the progress bars are animating, but there's a problem. Here the animation starts as soon as the page load. So this is not what I want. I want this animation to start when the experience section is in view. So this section, when it is in view, I want the animation to start. So to achieve this, I will use a library called waypoints. This library allows for a function to run when certain section or parts of a web page comes to view. So when the user scrolls the page and reach the experience section, that time the animation for the progress bars will run. So let's first add waypoints to our project. So open up Chrome and search for waypoints.js. So this is the website. Click on this. And now click on this download button to download the library. So once the download is complete, unzip it. And now we need to include waypoints in our project. So open it up, and in the lib folder, you'll see Jquery waypoint min.js. So copy this and go to your project folder. So in the lib folder, just paste this. So now we need to add this in our HTML file. So open up index.html and after type.js, open up script tag. Open up a script tag. Source will be lib. Now I'm going to copy the name, right click, rename, copy the name and paste this. So we have added waypoints to our project. So now let's see the documentation to know how to use it. So now let's see the documentation to learn how to use it. So here in the home page, click on this guide link. So we are going to use the global waypoint class, this waypoint class, and this class needs an option object which have many properties that we have to set. But the two property that are mandatory are element and handler. So we are going to use this code and modify our existing code. So just copy this, go to app.js file, and here I'll paste this code. So now what I want is that when experience section comes in view, I want this waypoint to be triggered. This function is going to be triggered. So here in the element property, I'm going to target the experience section. So I've given an ID to experience section, exp ID. This exp ID, I'm going to target the whole entire experience section. And inside this function, what I'm going to do is I'll delete this, I don't want this, and I'm going to paste all this inside this function, because I want the animation to start when the experience section hit the screen. Because I want the animation to start when the experience section is in view, and this function will run when the experience section is in view. And go to our web page and refresh. Now still it will not work. Why? Because our experience section starts from here. So when this part reaches to this part, the progress bar will start animating. So for this to work, we need to set the offset property. So here write a comma, then offset 90%. Save this, go back and refresh. Now if I scroll down, you will see our progress bar starts animating when the offset value is 90% from the top of the screen. So this is our experience section, and in the next video I'll start the service section. So in this video we are going to make the service section of our web page, which will list or detail all the services that are provided. So let's begin. So begin a comment after the experience section and write services here. Now open a section tag and give it a class services class, and also an ID, services ID. Now inside this, create a div with a class container. Inside this container, we are going to create 3 rows. So the first row will contain the section heading, and the other 2 rows will hold the services card. So create a div with a class row. Inside this, create a div with a class call. And now again inside this, I'm going to create another div with a class call, which will group together a section heading. So here I'll begin a h2 tag, my services, and then a paragraph tag, what we offer to our clients. So here I want this heading and all the cards in the service section to be center aligned. For this I'm going to use or add the text center class to our container div. So text center. So this will move all the things to the center. Now after the heading, I'm going to make the cards. Here I will have 2 rows, and each row will contain 3 cards. So create a div with a class row after this row. Now inside this row I want 3 columns. So I'll write call LG4. I'm going to copy this 2 more times, and now I'll write the content which will go inside this. So for the card, create a div with a class card. This is a Bootstrap class. Inside this you have to specify two things. One, card header, and other is card body. So create a div called card header. And inside this card header, I'm going to use font awesome icon. So the code for that is fab fa apple. Save this. Now again create a div with a class card body. Here I'll have a h5 tag with a class called card title. This is also a Bootstrap class. Let's say app development. Then as a decorative element, I'm going to create a border which will be a div. Let's say and I'm going to give it a class service border. This will be a decorative element. And then I'm going to create a paragraph with class card text. Here I'll use some dummy text. Which I'm going to paste. So this is our first card. So similarly I'm going to create two more cards. So what I'm going to do is just copy this card and I'm going to paste this in this column, and I'm going to change the icon to FAB open cart, and here let's change eCommerce solutions and change the text. Now similarly I'm going to just copy this card one more time and paste this inside this column. Here the font has some, here change the class of this icon FA desktop. Let's change this to website development. To change the text, let's say this. Now let's save this and see how it looks. So we have this heading and all our icons are showing up. So why this is not showing up, let's check. I need to change this class, save, and now this icon are showing up. Don't worry, it's not styled. I'm going to style it later, but first let's create all the cards. So again go back. What I'm going to do is to copy this entire row which contains 3 cards and paste it one more time and paste it here. So now let's save and check. So we have created 6 cards, and now what I'm going to do is let's change something, change this icon and this text. So the icon will be far FA edit. Let's change app development to SEO services. And let's change the text. Now for the second card, FA WordPress simple. These are all font awesome icons, so you can check all these classes when you download them individually. Now here I'm going to change the text to WordPress themes. And the text. Now for the last card, FAB Joomla development. Change the text. Let's save and let's take a look. So these are the 6 cards, and now I'm going to style these cards. So in this video we are going to style our service section. So open up style.css. So the first thing that I'm going to do is to give a background color to our service section. So for this, I'm going to create a new class bgsec, and the background will be f8, f9, fa. Now add this class to our section here. Now also I'm going to add the universal padding top and padding bottom to our section. So r-p class, I'm going to add this to our section as well. After this, I'm going to style the cards in a service section. So go to style.css, and after experience section, begin a comment, service section. Here we have this bootstrap class .card and .card header. I'm going to change the background color to f8, f9, fa, and I'm going to use the important keyword because Bootstrap has a default color, and I'm going to override this using important. And I'm also going to remove the border of a card. Border will be none. Also, I'm going to override this using important. Then I'm going to style the font awesome icon for this service class. Let's check services class. Inside this, card header, and then I tag. The font size will be 50 pixel. Now we have this styling element, this service border. I'm going to style this. So copy this service border. Height will be 2 pixel. Width will be 40 pixel. Margin 15 pixel auto. Background will be E6 5F78. So now let's see how our service section looks like. So we have increased the font size of this. We centered this heading, my service, what we offer to our client. And also we have added this light background color to this section. So this is our service section. In the next video, we are going to create the Hire Me section. So in this video, we are going to make the Hire Me section of a page. So after the services, begin a comment, Hire Me. After this, I'm going to create a section with a class Hire Me and an ID, Hire ID. Also, I'm going to give it a class, that universal padding. Inside this, I'm going to create a container with a class text center, and inside this, I'm going to create a row. Now here, I'm going to create a div with a class call, and inside this div, h3 with a class margin bottom 4. This is a Bootstrap class, and I'll write I am now I'm going to create a tag with a class btn and r-btn, which I'm going to create. This will go nowhere, so I'll use pound, and in here I'll write Hire Me. Now create this class r-btn. I'm going to create this style in the universal section, r-btn. Padding will be 5 pixel top and bottom, 20 pixel left and right. Background color will be EE86 83, and I'm going to write important. Color will be white, also important. Let's save and let's check. So this is a hire me section, and in the next video we are going to make the testimony. In this video we are going to make the testimony section of a page. For this I'm going to use a carousel, which is owl carousel. First we need to download it and include it in our project. So open up Chrome and in Google search owl carousel. So this is the link, click on it. And now first we need to download it. So click on this link, download, and your download will start. After it's finished downloading, extract this, open up this folder, and under the dist folder, which is the distribution folder, go to asset folder, and from here we need to add 3 files to our project: owl carousel min.css, owl theme default.min.css, and owl carousel min.js file. So I'm going to add these files into a library folder. So select these files and drag this in a library folder. So now that we have added these files in a library folder, it's time to include the reference in our index.html page. So first I'm going to include the CSS file. So I'll write link, href will be these 2 files I'm going to include. So right click, rename, copy this entire path and paste it. Again I'm going to link this default theme default file, copy the path, link this, and now I'm going to add the JS file. So I will include it in a JS section here, script, this JS file, and paste this. So we have added all the required files. Now it's time to create the testimony section. So just after the hire me section, I'm going to begin a comment, testimony, and then I'm going to create a section with a class, testimony class, and an ID. I'm going to include 2 more classes in a section, which will be the padding class and the color class. Now I'm going to create a div with a class container, which is a Bootstrap class, and also a class text center. This is also a Bootstrap class. So inside this div I'll have a row, and now I'm going to create a column which will span the entire width of the page. So I'll just write col, and here inside this I'll create a h2 tag, testimony, and then a paragraph tag, what people say. Save this, and now let's take a look. Start server. So this is a testimony header, and now I'm going to create the carousel. So this is a div for a container. So inside this div I'm going to create a row and then a call, and here I'm going to create a div with a class owl carousel and a class owl theme. These are owl carousel classes which we need to include so that we can create the carousel. So now let's look at the documentation of owl carousel to learn how to use it. This owl carousel homepage, click on this docs link and then click on this installation, and under here you will find how to set up the carousel. So we need to create a div with a class owl carousel, and inside this we are going to have the different items. So these items can also be included within a div, which allows us to add different items inside this div as well. So after this we are going to call the plugin using Jquery. So this is the code, and this owl theme class is used to add nav buttons, which I'm going to show you a little later. So after this I'm going to create a div with a class item, which is also owl carousel class, and inside this div I'm going to create another div with a class text center. This is a Bootstrap class, and inside this div I'll have different elements of the testimony. So I'll have a font or some icon with a class FAS, FA, quote, left. Then I'm going to create a div, and inside this I'll have the image. The source will be under images folder. I have a T1 image, this curl, so t1.jpg, and I'm going to give some classes to it. So class equal mx auto, which will push it to the center, rounded circle. These are Bootstrap classes. And after this div I'm going to create a paragraph with a class text muted. This is a Bootstrap class, and I'll just write lorem, let's say 10. After this I'll have another paragraph. This will be the name of the person. Now let's save this, and after this I have to call the plugin. So I'll copy this line, and inside the app.js folder, since I've already written the ready function, I'll create a comment. And I'll paste this line. Now first let's see how a carousel looks like. So this is how it looks like right now. As you can see, I can slide it. Since it has only one item, that's why it's not sliding. So I'm going to include more items in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just copy this item div and paste it 3 times, so that we have 4 testimony. 1, 3, and I'm going to change the image T2, T3, T4. Now let's save this and look. See, we have this carousel right now. Why the third image is not showing? Sorry, it's JPEG. So this is the carousel right now. So we need to add some custom CSS to this carousel. So open up style.css, and after the service section, create a comment, testimony. Here I'm going to create a class, testimony class, test item. I'm going to assign this class to all items. So the max width will be 500 pixel, because right now the items are taking up all the space, which I don't want. That's why I've assigned max width property, and margin 50 pixel auto. Left right will be auto, top bottom 50 pixel. And then I'm going to add this class to this div, test item. Copy this, paste it here, here, and here. Save this. But before this class takes effect, we need to add some properties to our owl carousel. And if you go to the owl carousel page, you can see different options. Click this link. Here we have different properties that we can add to our carousel. So we can change the number of items that is displayed. We can add margin. We can set looping to true or false. Likewise. So in the app.js file, I'm going to add different properties. So in the app.js file, I'm going to add some properties to our carousel. So remove this semicolon, and here inside this, I'm going to add different properties to our carousel. So the first property that I'm going to set is loop true, comma, autoplay will be true, autoplay timeout will be 4000 milliseconds. So 4 seconds the carousel will loop itself. And as you can see right now, we have 3 items that is showing in the carousel, which I don't want. I want only one item to be displayed at a particular time. So for this, I have a property items, and I can set this to 1. Now if I save this, you can see that we have only one item in our carousel, and it is also auto playing itself. So now it's time to add some CSS to style the carousel. So we have created this test item class, and we have added this to items. So right now our image is very big, so I'm going to change this. So I'll add a class to our image, test image. I'll just copy this and paste it in our images, different images. Now here in the CSS file, testimony, test item, test image. I'm targeting test image. Width will be 50 pixel, height will be 50 pixel, and I'm going to give it a property object fit cover. Let's save this and look. Oh, I have to add this testimony class. Now our images looks right. Or let me change the color of this quotation icon. So what I'm going to do, testimony class dot test item. I'm targeting the I tag. The color will be gray. Okay, now it's looking good. And finally I'm going to change the font size of this name. It's looking big, so I'll target test item P. The P tag, I'll give it a class test name. Font size will be 11 pixel, and I'm going to assign the class to this name, test name. Copy this, now save. Now it's looking good. So these are the navigation button that I was talking about when we included this owl-theme class to owl carousel. So if I remove this and save, so these navigation buttons are gone. But here I want to have it, so I'll place it back. So this is the testimony section of a page. Now in the next video we are going to create the work section. In this video we are going to make the work section for a web page. This work section will have image gallery with filtering options. Now here I'm going to use a JavaScript library called filterizer. It is a JavaScript library that searches, sorts, shuffle and applies stunning filters over responsive gallery using CSS3 transitions. There is also another library which is called Isotope, but you have to obtain a license for commercial use. So here I am going to use Filterizer, which is a free option. So first we are going to download Filterizer and include it in our project. So open up Chrome and search for Filterizer, and this is the link which you have to click, which is eotis.net. Then again click on this GitHub. Click here clone or download and download zip file. Now extract the file. Expand this. Under the dist folder, just drag this one jquery.filterizer.min.js in our library folder. Now I'll write the script tag to link this file. Script src equal lib, right click, rename, just copy it, copy this whole path and paste this. So now let's understand how to use it by going through its documentation. So this is the website. Here if you scroll down, you will see this demo image gallery, which shows all the features like filtering, sorting, shuffling, searching, etc. For our case, we are going to use the filter option, this one. Here this has some buttons and the images are tagged to these buttons. So if I click on cities, all those images which are tagged with this will be shown. So this is the basic working of filter option. Now let's take a look how to implement it in our code. So click on this tutorial link and click on this getting started. Here first we need to add the library in our project, which we have already done. The second step would be to create those buttons for filtering. So these buttons will have a data attribute, data filter, which decide how the filtering is done. It is like a tag number which we are going to assign to our images, and when any button is pressed, this tag number is matched with the tag number of the images, and then those images are shown. Now finally we need to add the images in a gallery. For this we need to create a group, which can be a simple div like this one with class filter container. This div will hold all the images of a gallery. Now inside this container div we will add the images with attribute data category and a class called filter item. As I've told you earlier that we need to tag our images, and we do this using the attribute data category. So if I click on this button with data category 1, data filter 1, all those images with category 1 will be shown. So this one will be shown, this one will be shown, as this is also having category 1, and this one will also be shown. But if I click on button with category 2, data filter 2, only this one will be shown, since data category 2 is absent in 1 and 3. And finally we need to write the Jquery or JavaScript to invoke it. So let's jump back into code and create our image gallery. In this video we are going to write the code to implement the image gallery. So begin a comment and write work. Now open up a section class with a class work. I'm going to also include a class RP, which is a universal padding. Now create a div with a class container. And I'll also give a class text center, which is a Bootstrap class to center align the text. Now I'll create a div with a class row. Inside this I'll create a call class. I'll give margin 5 bottom, and inside this I'll create a heading h2 work and a paragraph what I have created. Now after this create another row. Inside this I'll create all those buttons. So create a div with a class call XS12, MX Auto, MB5, margin bottom 5. Now inside this I'll create button with the class btn and r-button. So these CSS classes for button I have created already. I'm using it here also. So here we need to give an attribute data filter all. Now I'm just going to copy paste this few times. Here I'll change it to 1. This will be web. 2. This will be SEO. 3. This will be, let's say, graphics. And 4, let's say, apps. Now that we have created the buttons, it's time to create the container which will hold the images. So after this row, I'll create a div with a class container. Inside this I'll create a div with a class row and filter container, and also MX Auto. And now we are going to add the images. So I'll create a div with a class, multiple Bootstrap class for responsive size, XS6, call SM4, call MD4, filter item, and a class card wrapper, which I'm going to write the CSS in a short while. And also I'll create an attribute data category for this, and I'll give this image a tag 1 and 2. Inside this div, let's say I'll create another div, and inside this images, all the images are in the images folder here. w1.jpg, and I will also give it a class img fluid, which is a Bootstrap class. Now I'm just going to copy this whole code 5 more times because I want 6 images. I'm going to change the image to w2 and the data category, let's say 4 and 2. Again I'll paste this, let's say w8, data category 1, 4 and 2. Again paste this, four, 3 and 2, let's say w6, let's say 1, 4 and 2, w5, and one more time, let's say 1 and 3, and this one will be w7. Now save this and let's take a look. So this is a work section. It's not going to work because we need to add the jQuery to activate this. To write the jQuery, to activate it, go to app.js file, and after here and here write var Let's say this is a variable name, and here I have to write the class of the container which holds the image. So this is the class filter container. I'll copy this and paste it here. Now invoke it, and I'll add a parameter animation duration 0.5. Let's save this, and now let's see. If I click on web, all those images which are tagged with 2. So if you see here, the web tag number is 1, so all those images with tag number 1 are shown here. If I click on this SEO is tag number 2, so all those images with tag number 2, data category 2, will be shown. And finally, I need to write the CSS for the class card wrapper, which I used to add some padding. So open up style.css, and after the testimony, begin a comment work. Now I'll target the work class, and then card wrapper. Here I'll give a padding top 15 pixel and a padding bottom 15 pixel. Let's save this, refresh. So we have added the padding. So this is the work section. Now in the next video, we are going to make the contact section. In this video, we are going to make the contact section of a page. So the contact section consists of 3 rows. The first row contains the heading and the text, and the second row consists of icons and some text, and the third row consists of some form elements. So let's create this contact section. So after the work section, begin a comment contact section. Here I'll create a section with class contact, and I'm going to add a padding class and a background class, which I've already declared. Now I'm going to create a class. Now I'm going to create a div with a class container and text center. Inside this, I'm going to create 3 rows. So let's create a div with a class row first. Inside this, I'm going to create a class call, then a h2 tag, contact us, then a paragraph tag, feel free to contact me. So this is our first row. Now again, I'm going to create a row for the icons. So create a div with a class row, and I'm also going to give a margin top 5. Inside this, I'm going to create a call MD4. Since this row consists of 3 columns, so we'll divide it 4 into 3. So call MD4, and inside this I'll place the icon and the text. First, let me duplicate this 2 more times. Now inside this, I'll create a div with a class R icon. I'm going to write the CSS rule a little later. Let's create a div. Inside this div, I'm going to create an I tag with class FAS, FA, mobile, alt. This is a font awesome icon. Let's save and let's take a look. So we have this icon here. Now again, I'm going to create a div with class text center. Inside this, I'll have a h5 tag, call us, and some paragraph tag with phone number. Save it, have a look. Okay, it's showing. Now I've added this class R icon. So I've added this class R icon. Using this, I'm going to increase the size of this font. So what I'm going to do is just copy this code and paste it here, and one more time. And now I'm going to change something. Here I'm going to change this to this FA envelope. Let's say contact us or email us. Contact. Now here I'm going to change this class to map pin. These are all font awesome icon. So you'll find this code when you download the font awesome icon, or you can reference it from its website. So here will be visit us. Arizona. I'll save it. Why the email icon is not showing? Let me check. Oh, I misspelled it. So now let's increase the size of this font awesome icon. So I'll go to style.css, and right after the work section I'll create a comment, contact us, and I'm going to target the section. I've given it a class contact. Inside this I have R icon. So font size will be 50 pixel and text align will be center. Let's save. So this is our second row. Now we are going to make the third row, which consists of the form element. So right after this div, create a div with class row and also margin top 5. Inside this div I'll create a class call, and now I'll create the form element. I'll write the form tag. I'll remove the action because I don't need it. Inside this form tag I'll create a div with a class form row. This is a Bootstrap class form row, and inside this we need to create groups, form groups, which is also a Bootstrap class. So I'll create another div with class form group and size call MD6. This will have an input button, text, class will be form control. This is also a Bootstrap class, and placeholder text will be name. Then again I have to create another form group, call MD6. This time I'll create an input for email. Class will be form control, placeholder email. Oh, I made a typo here. It will be call MD6. Let's save this. So this is our text field for name and email. After this I'll create another div with a class form group. This will be input text. Class will be form control, and placeholder will be subject. Now after this, I'm again going to create a div with a class form group. Now this time I'm going to create a text area. I'm going to delete the name and ID. Let's give it a class form control. Rows will be 7, and I'm going to remove this calls. Also add a placeholder, your message, and a style, resize none. So this will prevent the resize of the text area. Let's save this. So this is the text area. And finally we are going to create the button after the text area. Button type will be submit. Class will be btn, rbtn. I'm going to add class float right. This is also Bootstrap class, and here submit. Let's save. So this is the button. So this is the contact section of a website, and in the next video I'm going to create the footer section of a page. So a footer looks something like this. It has font of some icons, and I have used li tags to display these icons. So let's create the footer of a page. Right after the contact section, create a comment, footer, and then I'm going to use the footer tag, which is a new HTML5 tag, and inside this I'll create a div with a class container, and I will use flexbox to align these icons in the middle. So first I'll use deflex, which is a Bootstrap class, and I'll use align items center, and also justify content center. Inside this div I'll create a div with a class row, and then a div with a class call, and then I'll create a div with class r icon, which will hold all the icons, and also I'll give a class text center and margin top 3. In this div I'll create a ul tag and then a li. This li will have a class list inline item. This is a Bootstrap class, and here I'll use a tag. Inside this I'll use I tag with class fab fa Facebook. Let's save this and let's take a look. So icon is showing here. Now I'm going to just copy paste this 3 times. And I'm going to change Facebook to Twitter, Behance, YouTube. Class. Now let's save this and have a look. So this is the icons, and finally I'm going to add the paragraph with class text muted, and I'm also going to give it a style, font size 14 pixel. This is an inline style. And for the copyright symbol, you need to write ampersand, copy, and then semicolon, and then I write copy, write Rudra pipe, then pipe symbol 2020 all rights reserved. Let's save this and have a look. So this is the copyright symbol and the copyright, and now it's time to style the footer section. So go to style, and right after the contact section I'm going to bring in a comment, footer. Then I'm going to target the footer itself. Height will be 200 pixel and background color will be 333333. Let's save this and have a look. So this color, and then I'm going to target the icons, footer r-icon, a tag. The font size will be 20 pixel. The color will be 848484. Padding, all round padding will be 10 pixel. Border will be 1 pixel solid, and again the same color, hash 848484, and border radius will be 50%, so as to give it a round corners. And after this I'll create the hover state of the icons, r icon, when the link is hover. Border will become 1 pixel solid, hash EEE. The color will become EEE, and transition will be 0.5 second all. I have not added height to this container, so this is also a Bootstrap class which adds 100 pixel height, so h100. And now if I look, it's vertically aligned, and when I hover the color changes as well, and the transition is 0.5 second. So this is the footer section of a page. And in the next video I'm going to add this preloader and this transition effect, and also some little tweaking like this color change and this animating up. So these are small little addition to our web page which I'm going to add in the next few videos. In this video I'm going to add favicon to our web page. I'll also change the title and add that class to our website, this color class, to a typed element. So let's start. So in the head section we need to create a link, and instead of style sheet, relation style sheet, I have to write icon, and then I have to specify the href. So I have the favicon in the images folder, fav.ico. So I'll write images, then fav.ico. So let's save this and have a look. So a favicon appears here in this tab. Now let's change the title. Portfolio template. So this title will also be shown here in the tab. Now I'm going to add the preloader which you have seen here. So this preloader, the circle and the transition effect to a page. So for this, right after the body tag, I'm going to create a div with class preloader, and inside this I'll create a div with class circle. Let's save this and go to style.css, and I'm going to write the style for the preloader in the top section here. I'll begin a comment, preloader. Now preloader is a div, and I'm going to use two pseudo elements before and after to create that transition effect. So preloader before, content will be nothing, position will be absolute, bottom will be 0 because I'm going to divide the entire div into two parts, 150% which will come from the bottom and 150% which will come from the top. So this one, this before element will be this before element will stick to the bottom, that's why bottom 0, width will be 100% and height will be 50% and background color will be black. And I'm going to specify a transition, 1 second. Likewise, I'm going to create after element, just copy this one more time and paste it. After, here top will be 0, I want this to come from the top, width will be 100, height 50, background color, rest will be same. And after this I'm going to create a class complete. So this class will get applied to the preloader when the page loads completely. This I'm going to check using JavaScript. So here I'm going to move the before element to -50%. And likewise, I'll just copy this one more time and I'm going to move the after element to the top of the screen, -50%, so that it is out of the screen. And finally, on complete, I'm going to change the visibility to hidden. Now I'm going to write the code for the circle. Circle position will be absolute because I want to place it in the center of the screen. Top will be 50%, left will be 50%, transform, translate, -50%, -50%, width will be 100 pixel, height will be 100 pixel, border radius will be 50% to make it a circle, complete circle. Border radius, then the border will be 10 pixel solid. I'm going to specify the color using RGB value 255, 255, 255, because here I can specify the transparency. So transparency will be 0.1. Then border top 10 pixel solid hash EE8683. This will be the small rotating part of the circle, and I'm going to specify animation, animate. This will be for 1.5 second, infinite and linear. I'm going to write the CSS for this animate a little later. And finally, z index will be, give it a very high value so that it is at the top of every element. After this, I'll specify I'll write the keyframes rules. Here at 0%, I want transform, translate, -50%, -50%, and rotate 0 degree. At 100%, I'm just going to copy this and paste it here. Here 360 degree. Now we have written the CSS part of a preloader. Now it's time to write the jQuery part to invoke it. It's a very short code which you have to write in app.js file. So right at the very top, I'm going to use jQuery window. I'm going to select the window object. On load event, I'm going to run a function I'll select the preloader and I'm going to add class complete. So when the browser loads the page completely, this class will get added to a preloader and it will get disappeared. This complete class will get added and the visibility will be hidden, so it will get disappear, so it will be hidden. So now let's check. First save this, go to a page, let's refresh, see a transition effect, but you don't see the circle here because it is loading very fast. Just a hint of the circle is being shown. So you can do what? Just right click, click inspect, go to network tab, here change this to, let's say, slow 3G. This is a testing tool. Let me change this to fast 3G. Now once again I'm going to refresh. A preloader circle is not moving and all these navigation bar and this content is showing on top of a preloader. So I have to do one thing. So here I have made a typo, 2 times @ symbol. So let's save this and let's check. I'm simulating a slow internet connection to show you the preloader. Let me change this to online. See, a circle is animating, but all these texts are shown at the top. I don't want this. I only want this preloader animating circle to be shown, and the rest all should be hidden. So for this I have to do one more thing. I have to add style to a preloader div. Here the position will be fixed, top will be 0, left will be 0, width will be 100%. This time I'm going to take the entire width. Height will also be 100%. Background color will be black. And z index, which is the most important thing, will be 99998. So a preloader, a circle has the z index 99999, so it will be at the top, and after that we'll have this div preloader with z index 99998. So let's save and now let's check. See, now no content has been shown and only we see the preloader. We have created the preloader of a page. Let me now style this content here. So go to index.html and this is the typed element. This is the content which is getting typed, span. I'm going to style it. Style. This is the inline style. I'm going to change the color to EE 8683 and I'm going to change the font weight to bold. Now let's save and let's check. Now it's looking good. So in the next video I'm going to add some animation to our page. So in this video we are going to add animation to elements of a page. So I'm going to use a CSS library called Animate. Search on Google Animate CSS. So this is the link, animate.css. Click on it and click on view on GitHub. So the only thing you need to do is to add the CSS file in the head section, and then you need to add these class name to the element that you want to animate. It's just that simple. So what I'm going to do is, first I'm going to download it. Click here and download zip file. It's a very lightweight file. Extract it, and this is the file animate.css. You just need to drag this to a lib folder, and now I'm going to link it up in the head section. So here, right after this, I'm going to use the link tag, then in the href lib animate.css. Now that we have linked the animate.css file into our project, to add animation it's very easy. You just need to add two classes, one which is important, the animated class, and the second, the type of animation that you want. So let's add animation to this div, this entire div. Here I'm going to add the animated class, which is very important, and then the type of animation, let's say fade in up. Save this, and when I refresh, you will see that this entire section slightly move from the bottom to the top. So this is how you add animation to the elements. Now I'm not going to add animation to each and every of the element, because it's very easy and you can do it by your own. So this is all about the animation.